At the alumni reunion after I came back from overseas, Pierce showed up too. A man as aloof as Howard was had actually brought a gentle, stunning +1. Even so, my irrepressible best friend still refused to give up her mission to play matchmaker. A guy like Pierce having a woman on his arm is totally normal. A total smoke show like that is right in front of you, go take a bite, at least. I never expected him to overhear. Outside the restroom, Howard lounged in my way, voice deliberately slower and heavier. So, you never told your friend we used to be close? I dropped my gaze, mortified. True. We'd shared a bed, could that be anything but close? Before we go on, subscribe to this channel and drop a comment telling us where you're tuning in from. 1. Inside a private room at an upscale club, the air was buzzing. Everyone present had gone to Belmont University with me. After I left for London a few years back, I'd lost touch with most of them. Verna, we heard you were crushing it at a hospital overseas. What made you suddenly come home? The chatter was warm and loud. Someone steered the spotlight onto me. Come on, no matter how well you do abroad, you can't stay away forever. The second Verna landed, every single bachelor in our circle exploded. Back in the day, who in the med school hadn't heard of the department goddess? I sat among them, smiling faintly. Apart from a few show-offs, I couldn't recall the rest. If Lindsay hadn't dragged me here, I'd never have shown up to this thing. Just as the room hit peak noise, the door opened. In the dim, flickering light his profile appeared, Pierce, features sharp and cool. The clamor died like someone had cut the sound. Every head turned to the man in the doorway. Maybe because it wasn't a formal event, his white shirt hung a little loose. No tie, and the top button undone. The effect was a careless, maddening hint of restraint. Sorry I'm late, Howard said, voice calm, and it still sent ripples through me. Someone jumped up to greet him. Well, if it isn't Ellis. Why didn't you give us a heads up? I'd have sent someone to escort you in. I pressed my lips together as Pierce strolled in. Trailing him was a woman, serene, delicate. The moment they entered, the crowd ushered them to the center. I looked away and murmured to Lindsay, Howard didn't even go to our school. She shrugged. A big shot like Ellis gracing us with his presence is honor enough. Who cares which campus Howard haunted? Nathan and the guys have been trying to partner with Ashton Industries. They networked for months just to meet Pierce. I went quiet. True, today's Pierce felt untouchable. Even overseas I'd seen him on front pages constantly. Howard was born with that magnetism you can't ignore. 2. In the room, everyone lavished praise on him, no surprises. Howard merely smiled politely, leaning to whisper to his companion now and then. They looked intimate. I kept to the edge, trying to shrink my presence. My heart, though, throbbed with a dull ache. Right, 2 or 3 years had passed. A man in his position without a woman would be the real headline. I heard Ellis studied in London. We've got another London grad right here, maybe you two were at the same uni. All eyes swiveled to me. Hey, Verna, why are you hiding back there? That single line focused the entire room on me. Pierce's lips stiffened, his gaze landed on me. Those peach blossom eyes revealed nothing. His date, however, studied me with knowing interest, hand half covering her smile as she spoke into his ear. I couldn't hear, and I didn't want to. The sight stabbed for no reason. Earth to Verna, snap out of it, Lindsay whispered, nudging me. Ellis noticed you, say something. She meant well, she always did. In college she pushed me toward every good-looking guy, claiming ugly ones cheat too, might as well enjoy the view. I knew exactly what she hoped. Trouble was, I no longer had the guts to breathe the same air as Pierce. So I stood, voice brittle. Sorry, restroom break. I grabbed my bag and bolted, never seeing the way Pierce's eyes darkened behind me. 3. Water gushed from the tap, scrambling my thoughts. Lindsay slipped in at some point, swiping on lipstick in the mirror. Do you even know who Pierce is? She asked softly. A few years back Howard took over the family group, famous for ruthless tactics, total iron fist. Howard's got killer instincts. In a handful of years Howard's gripped the lifeline of half the city. Basically a walking god of wealth. So you see why Nathan and crew crawl around him? She turned, exasperated. You go to London, and with your looks I figured you'd bring back some blonde hottie. Yet you're still single, and your mom keeps calling me to fix you up. I pressed my lips thin, classic mom. Lindsay threw an arm around me, voice dripping suggestion. The moment Ellis walked in I thought, perfect match. And you ditched the scene to hole up in the restroom. I stared at her, words stuck. I could only dodge. Forget it, Howard's already got a girlfriend. Linz, say that to me, fine, but if it spreads people will think I'm pathetic. She clicked her tongue. A man like Ellis bringing a date, so what? Until Howard says girlfriend, it's open season. Verna, a total smoke show is served to you, go take a bite. Even if it's just to get on his radar, you might fast track to department chief at Riverdale General. I knew she wanted the best for me, but she didn't know the full picture. With Pierce, familiarity wasn't the issue. I tugged her toward the door, planning to spill everything later. Suddenly she froze, eyes wide. Ellis, my heart lurched. I looked up to find Pierce leaning against the wall, hands in pockets. Still unfairly handsome, his dark eyes locked on me, tone lazy and amused. I was walking past the restroom and heard you talking about me. At that, my face went white. Had Howard heard everything? A decent ex should stay as dead as a doornail. Nothing is more mortifying than yearning for an ex and having him overhear it in person. Pierce paused, deliberately sharpening his tone. Am I such a disgrace? What, didn't you tell your friends how close we used to be? The air froze. Lindsay glanced at me, then at Pierce. She was so stunned she could barely speak. You knew each other? Feeling his gaze land on me made my scalp prickle. The next second, Howard stretched the syllables. Verna? She's my ex-girlfriend. 4. At that, Lindsay's hands shook with excitement. Her face screamed, the ship I've shipped is actually real. I faintly heard her mutter, holy crap, epic. I pressed my fingers to my temples, the awkwardness was crushing. Pierce, there you are. A soft female voice drifted in, breaking our deadlock. I looked up. Pierce's +1 was walking toward us, graceful in every step. Smiling, she said, they've wrapped up over there, so I came to find you. Alright, I'll drive you back. Pierce gave her a small nod. Their easy banter showed how familiar they were. I instinctively wanted to bolt from the scene, but the woman blocked me the next instant. Are you Casey? She smiled at me, warm and friendly. I'm Zoe, a friend of Pierce. Howard mentioned your name to me once. Stunned, I looked at Pierce. Howard stood there and didn't deny it. Did Howard? I murmured. Pierce's cool eyes, devoid of warmth, offered lazily. A friend asked, so I brought it up. Those words snuffed the tiny flame inside me. Howard stepped aside, sounding impatient. It's late, let's go. Howard was speaking to Zoe. The woman hurried after him, heels clacking. I pressed my lips together, feeling a dull ache in my chest. Beside me, Lindsay was still shell-shocked. Wait, you dated Pierce? Damn, how did you never drop this bomb on me? 5. How to describe my history with Pierce. We hadn't only dated, we'd slept together. I met him the year I started as an exchange student in London. Howard lived across the hall. We quickly became neighbors turned friends. One night, tipsy, I was tailed by a couple of blonde guys. Pierce showed up just in time and scared them off. Cold and seemingly celibate, Howard looked like the type who disliked women. Suddenly, I wanted to do something fun with him. That night, I cornered him for a kiss. Pierce's lips were soft and addictive. Everything that followed felt natural. A man aloof and untouched by romance, Howard had never dated anyone. Yet Howard wasn't clumsy. Howard knew exactly how to kiss. Howard brushed my lower lip and rasped, Verna, do you know the price of teasing me? What price? I kissed him, clueless. Howard smiled wickedly, since you started it, keep going. I won't let you hit and run. Only then did I realize. The untouchable Pierce could be terrifyingly possessive. Howard wouldn't let others near me, not even in thought. His stamina was inhuman. Countless London mornings I woke to his relentless lovemaking. I figured a man like him loves without reserve. Howard simply didn't know how to handle it. Often I found his jealousy adorable, but in our second year I finally cracked. Calmly, I broke up with him, so proud, yet Howard still shed tears. The next day Howard packed and flew back home in a huff. Nearly 3 years had passed since. I'd never imagined meeting him again like this. My phone chimed with a headline. Insiders say Pierce and his girlfriend are solid, engagement rumored. An engagement? Howard and Zoe did look perfect together. 6. Thanks to my overseas resume, I'd secured a foothold at Riverdale General. A few colleagues tried to one-up me. After they saw my skills, they quickly shut up. I ran into Pierce again on an ordinary weekend. We met in the hospital corridor. Howard wore a casual hiking jacket, looking like a college freshman. Meeting my gaze, Howard hesitated. My friend twisted his ankle. I'm here for an X-ray. I smirked and unmasked him. Ortho's in the other building. Unfazed, Pierce stayed composed. Years apart had made him steadier. Even caught, his expression didn't flicker. I tucked my hair behind my ear. Cut to it. Why are you here? Howard stepped closer, casual. When did you get back? Last month. I thought you'd stay overseas for good. Not a chance. I laughed. His eyes darkened, restraint and craving swirling. Plans this time? Save lives and heal the wounded, does that count? Howard blinked, then we both smiled. Howard glanced at his watch. Every move oozed class. Shift's almost over. Dinner? Bad timing. Department dinner tonight. Avoiding me? Howard arched a brow, authority in that tiny gesture. I shrugged lightly. I wouldn't dare offend Alice. It's a real group thing. Behind me someone called, Verna. I turned, Chase jogging over. We'd worked together in London. When I came home, Howard followed. Grinning, Howard said, let's do one last round, then we can clock out. Ride with me after? I nodded. Pierce's razor gaze pinned Chase, unreadable. And this is? A friend. Verna, you collect male friends. Howard shot me a cool look and walked off. I stood there, baffled. Seriously, friends are forbidden now? I mentally cursed Pierce to a lifelong bachelorhood. 7. That evening we picked a famed French bistro. Laughter and clinking glasses lasted till 10. I can't hold my liquor. I'd barely had anything to drink, yet my head was already spinning. Someone called out, Chase, you're on Verona sitting duty. I felt Chase grip my arm. His voice carried a note of resigned helplessness. Verna, you're a lightweight. I told you to take it easy. Do you even remember where you live? I hiccuped, grinned, and nodded at him. I'm not drunk, come on. Chase sighed and slipped an arm around my waist, steering me toward the curb. The next second I was yanked into a broad, solid chest. Crisp aftershave, cool and clean, filled my nose. I pried my eyes open and found Pierce's chiseled profile. Howard frowned down at me, face darkening. Did you ply her with drinks? Hey, no way, she's famous for going under after one glass. Chase answered reflexively, then realized how odd the question was. You're the guy who came to Riverdale General looking for Verna this afternoon, right? She's wasted now. Whatever it is, catch her tomorrow. I'm taking her home. Howard reached again for my arm. Pierce blocked him with a simple shift of his body. Effortlessly, Howard scooped me up in a bridal carry and met Chase's stare with glacial eyes. I'm her boyfriend. Taking her home is my job. Without another word, Howard strode off with me in his arms, leaving Chase frozen in disbelief. Verna lands back in town and already has a boyfriend? That was lightning fast. I was out cold. Pierce asked my address 4 times, got nothing. Resigned, Howard took me to his place. After a dose of hangover remedy, I surfaced a little. Warm lamplight painted the room. Howard stood with his back to me at the floor-to-ceiling window, a wineglass in hand, broad shoulders tapering to narrow hips, proportions unreal. Just raw, lethal handsomeness. I pushed myself up. Hearing the rustle, Pierce turned. Howard tossed back the last swallow of red, his Adam's apple rolled, sending a quiver straight through me. Years, and your courage has ballooned. You can't hold liquor, yet you get plastered in front of another man. Howard closed the distance, voice low. I curved my lips. Liquid bravery still warming my veins, I teased, what, getting jealous? Jealous? Hardly. His tone stayed lazy. I lifted a brow, rolled over, and hunted for my phone. Pierce watched 2 beats, then asked on reflex, what are you doing? It's late, and your place isn't exactly convenient. I flicked through contacts. I'll get Chase to, hey, what are you? I gawked as Howard snatched the phone right out of my hand. Cold fury colored his perfect face. I saw you 2 at dinner tonight, laughing together like a damn couple. Howard tipped my chin, enunciating every word. Why not staple your eyes to his forehead? A soft laugh slipped out of me. Who I look at is none of Ellis's business. Besides, aren't you worried Zoe will throw a fit when she hears you dragged your ex home? His brow arched, interest flaring. Zoe? Why would she care? Pretty sure she's your girlfriend. Howard stared a beat, then laughed. Who told you Zoe's my girlfriend? Verna, since you, I haven't dated anyone. Want proof? 9. His breath stalled at my ear. Before I could answer, his mouth covered mine. Instinct had my eyes sliding shut. Pierce always knew how to kiss, I learned that ages ago. I flattened a palm to his chest. Pierce, what are you doing? Howard chuckled, large hand circling my wrist. A shaky breath tore out of me. Towering above, Howard drank in the shimmer pooling in my gaze. Well, I candy this prime, one more taste was pure profit. The thought had me rising to catch his lower lip. The world somersaulted, suddenly I was draped over the couch. His strong fingers angled my head, deepening the kiss, merciless. Colors blurred into haze. When Howard carried me to the bathroom, the battlefront shifted neatly. I kneaded my sore lower back and winced. Years had passed, yet the man's stamina hadn't aged a day. Did Howard ever get old? 10. I bolted the morning after. Losing myself in a guy just wasn't my style. Perfect timing, Lindsay invited me to the Galleria for lunch and shopping. Outside a jewelry boutique I spotted Zoe. A soft-spoken man stood beside her, slipping a diamond onto her finger. Suspicion prickled. Pierce had said Zoe wasn't his girlfriend, and I believed him. Howard had no reason to lie. But who was this guy? Lindsay noticed too. Am I sniffing scandal? Zoe's engagement ring shopping with another man, yet she hit that cocktail reception with Pierce the other night? I tugged her toward the escalator. Other people's drama isn't ours. Let's eat. Before we stepped away, Zoe called my name. She towed the man over, radiant. Casey, fancy seeing you. Off to lunch? Mind if we join? I nodded, dumbstruck. The man kissed her forehead, smiling easy. You girls go ahead, I'll pick you up later. They traded a quick kiss, pure couple vibes, leaving Lindsay and me blinking. On the 8th floor grill, Zoe sat opposite us, glowing. Curious about Pierce and me, aren't you? I lifted my water glass in silent admission. She took a sip and began. I'm Pierce's therapist. When Howard first came back from London, Howard was a wreck, insomnia, anorexia, nothing helped. His mom was frantic, so she hired me. 6 months of work before Howard stabilized. She leaned in, eyes kind but piercing. Howard tormented himself for one reason. You'd left him. First time I ever heard your name was in a hypnotic trance. Howard kept calling for Verna. Her fingers drummed the table. Honestly, Howard's still not okay. I was only helping him untangle the knot in his chest so Howard could get on with life. The night of your alumni reunion, Pierce was supposed to take me to dinner. Howard owed me that meal, for years. The moment Howard heard you'd be there, Howard changed his plans without a second thought. Howard brought me along only because Howard had already broken the date twice and didn't want to humiliate me a third time. When Zoe said that, everything clicked. No wonder she hadn't shown a flicker of hostility toward me that night. If she and Pierce were actually together, she'd have been too busy hating me to chat. 11. Lindsay gaped, blinking like an owl, her lips parted. Wow. The great Ellis is secretly a total lovesick puppy. Verna, how on earth did you train Pierce into this? Start a masterclass, I'll kneel for it. I laughed and ignored her theatrics. She'd been married 2 years, their bank account wasn't anything special, but her husband treated her like she hung the moon. So the guy helping you pick out diamonds just now, that's your husband? At Lindsay's question, Zoe beamed. Soon to be. We're getting married. We've been dating for 5 years, Pierce knows the whole story. So Verna, please don't get the wrong idea about him. There hasn't been another woman all this time. Howard barely has room to breathe. Howard's so in love with you. My cheeks went hot. The three of us giggled our way through the rest of the meal. Late that night, Zoe's fiancé arrived to pick her up, eyes only for her. Lindsay watched with the grin of a proud matchmaker. Looks like we'll be clinking Zoe's wedding toast soon. Any idea when we'll get to toast you and Pierce? She hooked an arm through mine, voice dripping mischief. I've always said you two fit. If we hadn't bumped into Zoe by accident, I'd have sworn she was Pierce's hired spokeswoman. That night, for once, I couldn't sleep. A text from an unknown number lit my screen. Hit it and quit it? Was I that disappointing? I stared at the string of digits. Didn't need a contact name to know who it was. Pierce, omnipotent as ever, had already dug up my number. I pressed my lips together and typed fast. What else? After prime rib, you need a cleanse or it gets cloying. Pierce, I'll give you one chance to rephrase. Me, fine. It was deliciously unforgettable, credit your physique. Pierce, only the physique? Nothing else worth praising? My brain instantly served up scenes hot enough to give me a nosebleed. Honestly, everything else scored top marks too. I sniffed. Pierce, can I ask you something? His reply came instantly. Say it to my face. Before I could type, another bubble popped up. Open the door. I'm outside. 12. I froze for a second, then shuffled over in my slippers. Pierce stood there, hands in pockets, radiating calm certainty. My eyes stung. Does Ashton Industries run a sideline as private investigators? Howard blinked, clueless. My address, where did you even find it? Howard stayed relaxed. No detective work required. Ask any of your classmates, they'll hand over the map. A famous overseas romance played on the projector. Pierce and I sat on the couch, silence thick between us. What did you want to ask? Howard said at last. The year you came back, why did you torment yourself like that? I turned to look. In the dim light, his profile seemed softer. Howard was quiet a long beat. "You've met Zoe?" She told me what happened. "So, Pierce, why did you wreck yourself?" My voice cracked. The man was hopelessly stubborn. What if I'd never returned from London? Or worse, married someone else? I loathed how Howard shouldered everything alone. Howard gave a rueful smile. "I just didn't want to annoy you." That single sentence pinned me in place. "You said you didn't love me, told me to come home, I didn't buy it. Did you really think breaking up was what drove me away? I decided the very first day we dated that loving you was enough. I can love you my whole life, Verna. I don't know why you ended it, I only knew staying would make life harder for you. So these years I stayed silent, swallowed every ache, but now you're back. Can I finally hear the truth?" His words stole my voice. I'd thought Howard resented me. Instead, every step Howard took was for my sake. My nose burned, fat tears rolled, scalding us both. 13. Howard kissed them away, inch by inch. "Why the tears? I told you long ago, whatever you do, I'll never blame you." I caught his lips and kissed him hard. After a split-second jolt, Howard sucked gently, sparking shivers. Howard parted my teeth, deepening the kiss until the world blurred. Just as I started to float, Howard pulled back, forehead against mine. "Trying to distract me, huh?" I whispered the truth. "I saw the message your mother sent you back then." Pierce went rigid. Yes, his possessiveness wasn't why I left. In our second year together, Howard had finished school, but I'd locked in a future at a famous London hospital, every med student's golden ticket. I figured I'd be overseas at least 2 or 3 years. To skip the long-distance drain, Pierce stayed in London. His mother found out fast. While Howard showered, his phone buzzed. I caught the preview. "If I'd known you'd refuse to come home and take over, I'd never have let you study abroad. Your father's health is failing. If you insist on staying, consider yourself disowned." That was when I realized Howard was defying his dynasty for me. Life can't be only romance, duty calls everyone. I chose my future, Howard chose love. I couldn't be the chain dragging him into ruin, so I cut it. I never told him. If we still loved each other, we'd meet again at the top. Because the very next morning Howard was gone. Howard never gave himself a chance to hear what my heart was saying. I had always thought Howard wanted nothing to do with me again. After hearing it all, Pierce simply held me, quietly, as though it hurt to breathe. I smoothed the hair at the back of his head, again and again. "So, did your dad get better?" Pierce's inhale hitched, his voice gravel rough. Less than 6 months after I came home, Howard was gone. My eyes burned, I tightened my arms around him. No string of comforting words could match one solid embrace. That night Pierce slept with his arms locked around me, deep and dreamless. Propped on an elbow, I watched his face in the dark. A tender ache bloomed inside my chest. Maybe this was the first real sleep Howard had tasted in years. 14. With the long holiday bearing down, Pierce had movers knocking at my door at dawn. I answered in pajamas, yawning wider than the doorway. "What kind of stunt is this, Sunrise Edition?" "I'm relocating you, lock, stock, and toothbrush, to my place." Pierce, man of many syllables when it suits him, went minimalist. The corners of my mouth twitched. When exactly did I agree to that? Last night, right before we crashed. Howard looked perfectly entitled, never mind the crew bustling past us. Heat rushed to my cheeks as last night replayed. Zoe had thrown herself a last single lady bash. Pierce and I partied till the city went quiet. Back home, high on champagne and each other, Howard had kissed me from the elevator all the way to the bed. Half delirious, I let him pin me to the mattress. "Told you not to wear a dress, I hate the way they look at you." I looped my arms around his neck and kissed him back. Then something occurred to me. "Weren't you the guy who said Howard'd never get jealous? You believed that fairy tale? I'm practically pickled in vinegar over here." I started to retort. Howard swallowed the words with a kiss and made sure I lost the argument, twice. When drowsiness dragged at my eyelids, Howard toyed with my fingers. "Move in tomorrow. 1 day without you and I'm twitchy." I mumbled something that might have been yes. Howard brushed my forehead, smug. "That's my good girl." 15. Thanks to Pierce's titanium-level shamelessness, I was installed in his villa by sunset. Place was so roomy it practically echoed. I straddled his lap, soaking up a rare hush. His hand glided up my spine. "Zoe wants you as her bridesmaid, dress fitting this afternoon?" I drooped against his shoulder, sleepy, and nodded. I'd been running wedding errands with Zoe all week, basically her unpaid intern. Exhausting, but seeing her floating 3 inches off the ground made it worth it. Marrying the person you love feels like winning a war you never meant to fight. When we arrived, Riley was still in a suit that needed approval. Zoe's eyes danced with mischief. Good thing my fiancé vetoed Pierce for best man. Howard's unfairly pretty and would have outshone the groom. I snorted. A second later Riley stepped out of the fitting room and I forgot how to blink. Clothes really do make the man. That tux turned mellow Riley into headline material. A stylist handed me a gown. Zoe squeezed my arm. Go try it on, hon. Taylor standing by. I ducked into the fitting room. The dress looked simple on the hanger, but getting inside it felt like solving a geometry proof. After 10 minutes, the back zipper still refused to close. Verna, how's it going out there? Pierce's cool voice drifted through the door. I winced. Little help? Zipper stuck. A knock. I peeked, confirmed it was only him, and let him in. Instantly the tiny space felt half its size. Where's the problem? Howard studied the gown, eyes darkening. I pointed over my shoulder. His throat bobbed. Told you you're hopeless. Big, sure fingers skimmed my spine, easing the zipper north. The static between us crackled. I changed my mind, Howard murmured. About what? Howard kissed me, slow and deep, until I forgot oxygen existed. At the last second Howard rested his forehead against mine, breathing hard. Dress is too sexy. I don't want any audience but me. I rolled my eyes so hard they almost bounced. Shoving the curtain aside, I marched out. Guy dishes cheesy lines like it's open mic night. Who knew the Iceberg CEO had a latent drama king gene? I was halfway to mortified. 16. Zoe's ceremony ran like clockwork. I caught the bridal bouquet she lobbed straight at my face. Before the crowd stopped cheering, Pierce went down on one knee and proposed. I sobbed so hard my vision blurred, ugly crying at its finest. I used to swear I'd stay dignified when my turn came. TV heroines always looked so extra. Apparently I was one mascara stripe away from raccoon cosplay. Zoe still found time to tease. What hack of a makeup artist gave you non-waterproof mascara? Good thing I stayed tear-free, huh? I hiccuped a laugh cry. Brides get a free jerk pass today, I'd cash it later. Lindsay started bawling the moment Zoe appeared in white and didn't stop through my own proposal. We took turns blotting each other's faces like emotional windshield wipers. Then, as the waiters brought the entree, she gagged. My heart vaulted. Linz, are you pregnant? She nodded, sheepish. Still early, so hush. I zipped an imaginary zipper across my lips, twice for emphasis. You're gestating a human and you bawl like this? Control yourself, woman. She giggled, hiccuped, finally breathed. Across the ballroom Zoe and Riley worked the tables, radiating enough wattage to power Riverdale. A thought floated through me. May we always notice the small, shining pieces of happiness. Pierce laced his fingers through mine amid the noise. Howard pulled me close, lips at my ear. I've never said it straight out, have I? Verna, you are the center of my universe, and I'm honored to orbit you. I smiled into his shoulder. Whatever distance life throws at us, I'll walk every mile with this man. Even the slow kids eventually find their rose garden. The end. Thank you for listening to our story. If you enjoyed it, hit like and share it with a friend. We're waiting for you in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories, and we'll see you next time.